Hello, friends. This is Christopher Davis-Shannon, and today I am checking in with the wonderful bassist, Brian Farrow. Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How you? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. It's wonderful to see, even if from afar. Brian and I met a couple years ago. We were both teaching at one of the Centrum camps up in Washington. He was actually teaching fiddle of all
Yeah.
things up there, and I was
Yeah.
teaching ukulele, which for neither we are both primarily bass players, but we ended up
Yeah.
both teaching different four-stringed instruments. So close enough. So Brian, can you kick us off with a tune?
Yeah, sure. And a little aside about that camp. It was so funny because there were like five bassists there, all
Everyone
teaching
was an
different
upright bass player,
instruments.
and
Yeah.
not playing upright bass, but like that's all what we do. That's just
And we
saying,
had we
just
definitely had a good hey.
yeah, it's really just how great bass players are in general. Not to toot our own horns, but come on.
We're the best instrumentalists, I think.
That is the truth. If anyone disagrees with that, I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
I'm still in. Pretty mama, don't you tell on me. I'm still in, back to my same old used to be. Put your arms around me like the circle around the sun. Wanna love you, mama, like the easy rider done. If you don't believe I love you, look what a fool I've been. If you don't believe I love you, look what a hole I'm in. I am a still in, pretty mama, don't you tell on me. I'm still in, back to my same old used to be. I'm gonna tell you, I got a woman just my height and size. She's a married woman, comes to see me sometimes. If you don't believe I love you, look what a fool I've been. If you don't believe I love you, look what a hole I'm in. I am a still in, pretty mama, don't you tell on me. I'm still in, back to my same old used to be. I tell you, I'm I am a still in, pretty mama, don't you tell on me. I'm still in, back to my same old I used to be. I am a, I am a still in, back to my same old used to be. I am a still in, back to still in,
That was stealing. It was really nice to hear something with just bass and vocals. You don't hear that too often these days. It's kind of a refreshing little sound.
Yeah, well, I actually, I've been doing more of it. I got a funny story about this bass too. Last year, I was playing this fundraiser with a band, Elena and Los Fulanos, headed by Elena Lacayo out of DC, and we were playing this fundraiser for Sheriff Kagan. And Dave Eisner, the guy who owns House of Musical Traditions over in Tacoma Park, he happened to be by. I don't know what he was doing there, but he caught the sound check. And I was saying something about my bass, like wishing I had my acoustic bass guitar because I used to rock a Fender Kingman, but it was kind of in disrepair. And he heard this and he was just like, oh, all right. And he disappeared for about 10, 15 minutes and came back with a Breedlove bass. And it's just like, why don't you try this out for a while? And I was like, I mean, okay, I'm not, I didn't have money to spend. Like it was a little bit of a tough year, but this is a tougher year
Yeah.
last year. And I was like, I can't pay for this, but I was having fun. He was just like, why don't you just hold on to it for a while? So I did, and it broke. The neck broke
Oh, no.
while it was in my care, and I hadn't even started to pay for it. So fast forward to after freaking out a little bit, I was just paying on an instrument that I didn't have. I was in the West Coast and happened to talk to the Breedlove guys about it. RA first in Nashville when I was out there with Gangsta Grass, and he heard it. He was like, come out to Seattle and check out our shop. So I just got friendly with them, and they let me have this bass here, and they also let me have another special bass. If I was at home right now, I would share that one with you, but that one is like, it's like a giant guitar bass guitar.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, you mentioned that you were out on the West Coast, and you're actually on the West Coast now, where you're usually down in the DC area. So you're stuck out there for the moment, but last I saw you was actually up in Philadelphia. You were up here doing research for a project that you're working on called Prison Prophets. Can you tell us a little bit about that project that's coming out soon?
Yeah. So Prison Prophets is a podcast that is coming out from under a nonprofit, Songs in the Key of Free. And what Songs in the Key of Free does, they host these music compositional workshops in prisons. Mainly, the one I'm working on, or the material I'm working with, is from their session at SCI Graterford.
I know Graterford well. Yeah.
It's become SEI Phoenix. You work in the prisons too?
I did not, but I actually worked with a guitar player, and he was the HVAC guy at Graterford for 30 years. And retired right when they closed it. So we toured together. So I heard a lot of stories of Graterford over the years.
So he used to put things in the
he actually it was like a work program for the inmates. So he would teach the inmates how to do HVAC work. So for those of you that don't know, Graterford is the Supermax prison in Pennsylvania, in the Philadelphia area. So there's a lot of people there who are not getting out, but for those who were getting out, so that they had a trade to go into after they got out of prison. So he was actually helping train all of them to do HVAC work when they got out. And in that, they were doing all the HVAC work in the prison itself at that time.
Huh. That's a curious thing right there.
Yeah.
Anyways, I from one of the sessions, I'm making a podcast along with August Terrier, she's the director of Songs in the Key of Free, and Warren Smith, who actually used to be an inmate, but he's out now. There are two hosts, and we're getting these episodes out. And should be seeing a website on all that soon. But you were talking about research, and I was there making that in Philly, making that connection. But I also do research at the library company a bunch too, or it was last year.
Yeah.
I've been researching a guy named Francis Johnson, who is a 19th century musician out of Philadelphia. And he was just big. He was a big dance music aficionado. I think the word for it is tripsicorian. And he popularized a lot of dance forms across the United States, exported them to a bunch of different states, did a lot of touring. I think one of the first groups, his group was one of the first groups to tour extensively past the Appalachians. So there are accounts of him being in St. Louis when it was just coming up as a city. And his influence really stretches far and wide. And part of what I was doing last year was going to some of those different cities that he visited and going through the archives and seeing who he might have influenced. It's a passion project, and I really appreciate his story. But when it comes to African Americans and American folk music, I'm just looking for our own narrative, you know?
Of course. Yeah. There's so much out there. It's a shame that a lot of the documentation isn't there that you're searching for, probably, but hopefully there's a lot buried there that we can get a more accurate picture of what was going on back then.
Yeah. It's like a lot buried there, a lot to find, and a lot to like feel through, you know?
Certainly. But I'm glad you're doing that work. The historical accounts of all that music is so important to what we're even doing now as musicians, you know. Can you play us another tune?
So this song here is a song by a Baltimore singer-songwriter, and I'm actually living in Baltimore nowadays. And since I'm here in Portland currently, I want to go ahead and play this tune as an ode to Baltimore, and a good shout out to Letitia Van Sant, who made this wonderful song, and I'm really happy to be carrying it with me. Put a full-color flyer on every pole in town. Put an ad in the paper and your mama clipped it out. On opening day, 99 balloons reached up to the sky. Now they're dead on the ground, getting kicked around by all the people passing by. But you hold your head up high. It's fake it till you make it, so go ahead and crack a smile. There's no shortcuts on this road you chose, so go ahead and walk another mile. Put a pep in your step when your pops put that money down. Went ahead and got yourself a drink in your new stone grounds. But you lost that job and the gigging's real slow, so you do what you wouldn't dare. And it break his heart to see all those empty chairs. But you hold your head up high. It's fake it till you make it, so go ahead and crack a smile. There's no shortcuts on this road you chose, so go ahead and walk another mile. They say if you build it, they will come. But nobody says from who or where from. Know why? 'Cause the hustle is a lonely place. The hustle is a lonely place. The hustle is a lonely place. But you hold your head up high. It's fake it till you make it, so go ahead and crack a smile. There's no shortcuts on this road you chose. There's no shortcuts on this road you chose. There's no shortcuts on this road you chose, so go ahead and walk another mile.
That was a beautiful tune, Brian. I like that one. And we'll link to the artist that Brian was talking about that wrote that tune down in the comments here. You were talking before about some of your little pet research projects, and I know that you're supporting some of them as well as releasing that research over on your Patreon account, right? And using that sort of as a platform for some of your personal projects.
Yeah. Especially after this coronavirus thing, I had a big tour that was knocked out. I was going to be doing the American Music Abroad tour with my band Gangsta Grass. We were going to be in Morocco, and then we were going to go to Baffin Bay, way up north in Canada. We also had Winnipeg Folk Fest. We had Montreal Jazz Festival. Yeah. There was a lot of really great shows that canceled, and I was doing some research on Morocco and just Moroccan music and Ghanaian music too. And I use my gigs to fund my research. I've had the pleasure of doing a couple of talks, but I'm basically paying for my own doctorate outside of it.
Yeah.
And I, after all those gigs got canceled, I just needed a new way to let people know what I was doing and figuring out how I can get some support for it. So I opened up a Patreon. It's just patreon.com/bfarrow. And I usually go by B Farrow nowadays, E Farrow, my initials and my last name.
All right. So we'll link to that down below too, so everyone can check that out, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are interested in the research that you're doing. Can we round it out with one last tune there?
I don't want to fuss and fight, not right now. I just need that warm embrace, keep my pace down. World makes me weary, help me go to bed. World makes me weary, help me rest my head. I can't seem to myself just right. I need my Miss Right to hold me tight. There's a stirring in my heart, always. But her hands on my heart, keep that rustle away. World makes me weary, help me go to bed. World makes me weary, help me rest my head. Oh, world makes me weary. I don't want to go to bed like this. I need my missus kiss. I need it so much. Lay, oh yeah, down by the land of lakes. I'll by the dock of the bay. World makes me weary, help me go to bed. Oh, world makes me weary, help me rest my head. World makes me weary.
That's a fun tune. And we'll, of course, link to that Spotify account down there so everyone else can check out the recording of that tune, as well as your Patreon and the Prison Prophets project that's coming out soon. So check the links in the description so you can check out everything that's going on over here. Thank you so much for joining me on here. I really, really do appreciate you phoning in all the way from Portland.
Yeah, man, it's really great to join you. And It's good to see you doing this. This is a really cool project, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hopefully, next time we see each other, it'll be in real life and not over the internet.
Yeah. Looking forward to playing some music together sometime again.
Definitely, I can't wait. Could you play us a tune out, please?
Yeah, sure. I don't know when people are gonna be watching this, but I'll go ahead and play a little lullaby that I know, actually, that I wrote.